Thank you so much for coming back. Oh my gosh, we have beautiful, awesome people who are dynamic, who are full of intensity, who I'd love to welcome onto the show to tell us things that, from a different perspective. Jessie.
Hi.
Jessie, tell us a little bit about yourself before we go in there, what you're doing now, what you used to do, but save the aspires. You gotta wait for aspires.
I will do it.
Okay.
My name's Jessie Yankee. I work for the Association of Women's Business Dinners, which helps women all over the United States start and grow businesses, and it's a completely free service. Yeah. So that's how we met.
Absolutely.
I used to work at the Missouri Women's Business Center, which is located here in Columbia, and you also used to work there.
I did.
We didn't work at the same time, but we know all the same people. So that's a little bit of background. I just help women all over the country start and grow businesses. We really, really focused on getting money.
Okay.
Get that money.
Yeah, because women need capital.
Yes, and women are still left behind all the time.
And I love that. We're talking about people that are marginalized. A lot of people that come on this show can give a different perspective about being discriminated in some way. A lot of times because we're criminally justice impacted. Mm-hmm. Just the pressures of not being the the cookie cutter. There you go. Appreciate you. So let me tell you about Women's Business Centers. They gave me a chance, but not only that, they're a well-kept secret.
Yes.
Did you experience that when you first came into the Women's Business Center?
I didn't even know about it.
And you were a small business owner.
I owned a small business in Columbia. And then right when I was kind of wrapping that up, the Women's Business Center in Columbia opened. And I was like, how did I not have this opportunity? Mm-hmm. But the network of women's business centers has existed for almost 40 years.
Wow. 40 years. I would have never known that.
And nobody knows they're there. We do serve over 100,000 women every year, but most people walk by one or don't. They have no idea. There's 150 of them throughout the U.S.
Wow.
And then we also help you, if you don't know where yours is or you want to figure it out, you just go to hope2women.org. You can find one and I'll help you. So
awesome. Yeah, awesome. So Jessie, what's your how do we get a hold of you at the Women's Business
Women's Business Center?
Yes.
Well, just go to that hope2women.org. It's hope2women.org.
There we go.
Just do contact us. That's going to come right to me. Yes. And I'll help get you connected. And we also have a whole capital journey. We help women get money. They got to do the work. We don't just hand out money, but we help write business plans. We do it all between us. And then of course, all the Women's Business Center. So it is an insanely, I hope people watching this are like, how did I not know this existed?
Right. And they're going to pick it up and they're going to do something with it. They're going to become entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Now that brings me to something when you were talking about, we worked at the same place, but at different times. I was going through a file cabinet and I found aspires. Now I'm a formerly incarcerated woman. Nobody, they know my story. They're just not they're waiting on me. So I'm going through this file cabinet and I see these women and I know their names and I know their stories and they're women like me and they've been through a program that you taught before you, but while I was still in prison, I just wasn't at that camp, that facility. Please tell us about that.
Oh my gosh. I'm excited to talk about this. This is probably one of the greatest things I was ever involved in. So essentially my friend Kellyanne Coates, she worked at the state when she works for, I can't remember the exact title, but it's similar, Women's Business Economic Development at the state. She had been talking to Ann Presight, who was
our former director.
Yes, director of all corrections for the state of Missouri.
All adult institutions.
So forward-thinking. Ann is a visionary. I love her so much. And Ann was telling Kellyanne, we need initiatives for women. Now Kellyanne's running this women's program. So she's like, what if we taught entrepreneurship
to women
in prison?
Right.
That are incarcerated. And
because we have to start our own businesses sometimes because of the discrimination. Marginalization.
Job placement and getting all is very difficult when you've got, and at the time, I feel like it's gotten a little bit better now, but back then this is pre-COVID. So I think it was even still a little bit harder to get a job. And so Kellyanne came to me. I had started at the Missouri Women's Business Center and she said, I have an idea, could we go into the women's facility and teach a 6-month class?
I love that.
About running a business.
Yeah.
And so we were like, let's do it. And we scraped together a little bit of funding, very small.
Yeah.
The amount of money we did this program on, wild. And for 6 months, we would go in every Wednesday all afternoon. And we had a group of 10 women per class. So you had asked me earlier, we ended up doing 3 classes. Our third one ended up stopping because of COVID.
Yeah.
So then I left. So that project kind of closed, but now Kellyanne is still running the Aspire Mo project in Chillicothe,
which was the camp that I was at.
Yes, and it's now a workforce development class, but we still talk all the time about how could we bring this back, or even bring a national program to teach small business planning to women that are in facilities.
And that's exactly what we need. We need ways to broaden our thinking, ways to learn. Because when I came out, I had all the incentive. I just needed the tools. And luckily I found a women's business center, the diamond in the rough. So before you started on this journey and you were a small business owner, tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. I mean, it's kind of dorky. I did IT. Can you believe that?
Okay.
I had a small business IT firm. But again, you'll see the common theme is about small business. I love helping small businesses. And how it started was that we were leveraging, this is at now my ex-husband's company. We were using a big firm for IT. It was so expensive. Like we couldn't afford it. And I realized that nobody was doing IT for small businesses.
Okay.
And so we were very specifically focused on small businesses.
Niche.
So I had that for 7 years and an awesome staff. And then we were eventually bought out by a bigger company.
Okay.
Really awesome. So again, it's like, how can we help these small businesses? You know,
do you miss being a small business owner?
I do a little bit. I'm actually buying a little business right now as well. We'll talk about that on a future podcast.
Ooh.
It's nowhere in the vicinity of IT.
Well, that sounds amazing. And that sounds like something to wait on.
Yes. But yeah, so I just wanted to say one more thing about Aspire, because this is the biggest piece. So the main thing that we wanted to do was help with recidivism, right? So how the percentage of people who go back to prison.
Yes.
In Missouri at the time, it was really high. Like for women specifically, it was like 50%. 50%. None of the women who have gone through our program
have gone back. Oh, that's 100%.
It is just like the biggest thing. Some of our ladies had been in like 5 or 6 times.
Wow.
And now they're thriving. And I believe at this point, I think 6 of them have started businesses.
Right.
So it's really, really awesome.
Well, we were talking about Clifton Strengths.
Yes.
And they teach that.
Thanks for bringing that up.
So awesome. Positivity, the woo, communication,
harmony. There's
like 36 wonderful. Of them. Yes, tell us about them and how the difference that they made in these women's lives.
I love that. I think I'm so glad you brought this up, because you might be thinking, okay, 6 months, what did they do in that class? Well, so 20 weeks, right? 12 of the weeks we did spend on small business things. We wrote business plans. We talked about financial projections, like all the business. But the other 8 weeks we spent on soft skills and personal development. So we brought in a friend of ours. Her name's Jessica Macy. If you know her, anybody who's watching loves Jessica.
If you know her, you love her.
She's the best person. And she teaches, facilitates a Clifton Strength Finders assessment. But we actually spent 3 full classes on this.
Oh, yes, because it's so wonderful.
It is. I hope that everybody gets a chance. I think you can buy it on Amazon for like $9, and you do the assessment, you get your strengths. But so you get assigned these 5 strengths, like your 5 top strengths.
Yeah.
And again, like a lot of these women had never identified like a strength like that before. Like, for example, I was telling Sarita that like sometimes you can use your strengths in a positive way or in a negative way.
Right.
So we called it, or Jessica called it, being in the basement or being in the balcony. And she's much better than I am at all this. But like I was telling Sarita earlier that, like, for example, my number one strength is harmony. So I like peace. I like everything to do. But what does that do for me in business? Well, it makes me conflict adverse. So we really talked about both sides of these strengths and how a lot of times they've ended up in prison because they were actually using their strengths maybe in the basement.
That's exactly right.
How can we leverage those same strengths in the balcony?
I think about that all the time. I've always been a leader. I've always wanted to have fun and make things exciting. And I remember that, I was very young and I was meeting people and I'd be like, hey, let's go get high. Let's do it. And they'd be like, I've been sober 5 years. And I was like, what do you mean you were sober like 5 minutes ago? I didn't understand what I was doing, but I was like, I have the woo. That's another Clifton Strengths, winning others over.
Yes.
So I would make this lifestyle look cool that really wasn't. And then it wasn't cool for anybody.
Right.
Yeah, so I was using all those good habits, or excuse me, good skills in the basement.
We saw that a lot too, where, and I'm sure this will resonate with some people, but women are caretakers. And I will tell you, of the many women I spent time with in those various classes, they were the most loving, kind, caretaking women. But how that ended up was they were caretaking people they shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
And like I have always said, if I ever go back to school and do a PhD, I would do it about the women's path to prison and the role of men in that path.
Right.
And this is not a men hating conversation.
No,
because
not
the
at
women
all.
made these conversations, but it's
a 90-10.
They made
not
choices
95-5.
supporting men many times. So
Mhm.
anyway, it's very interesting. And so it's, I feel like they took these strengths that they had been using on others and they were like, how can I invest these strengths in myself, my children, and grow a business out of this? So,
how many women do you think never believed in themselves?
Oh, and probably 99%.
And that's what I used to think too. Most of these people never had a chance.
Or they've just been beat down for so long. The system and poverty and don't even get me started.
Get her started.
I don't want to get started.
Right now. Let's get you started. Seriously, though, but it's people
gosh.
who can talk about it and have open discourse and are willing to say things that are hard and not comfortable, like poverty is a problem and it keeps people stuck.
Yes.
Like
100%.
Not having self-worth, not having, the adequate tools to know that you can do better.
Yes.
It is an epidemic, especially here in Missouri. Would you say that Missouri lacks resources that other places have?
I just don't know. I don't know.
Hold it in context. Well, I would say it.
Yeah.
Okay, because I've been there, and we only have 2 women's prisons. So this wonderful program that she was talking about prior to COVID didn't even exist where I was prior to COVID.
No, it didn't.
So I know that there are other states. I know that someone is listening. I know that there is always a way that we can activate change.
Yeah.
So
I always had a dream that Aspire, it was called Aspire Mo. I visualized Aspire across every state. Aspire Illinois, Aspire Indiana, like all the states, initials in there. And there has been some legislation that's been brought forward to do this, but it's just in the grand scheme of everything else going on right now, it just never makes it to that final.
Yeah. And there's a lot going on right now. There's a lot going on. A lot of people are looking for funding. So if you're an individual donor, now's your chance. Now's your time to shine, to really come in there and help people who need it.
That's smart. Yeah. If we had somebody come in and fund and Aspire nationally, wow, what a dream that would be.
That would be so awesome.
Absolutely.
I feel like that's a good place to wrap up.
Oh, that's it? We can talk forever.
We can talk forever.
I'll have to come back and talk about
You will have to come back. Thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for spending your time with us.
If there's any women that are listening or watching that have been incarcerated before, I hope that they can realize that entrepreneurship is an option and it's a very viable one, and that the women's business centers have all the tools to help them get there. So reach out, hopetowomen.org. I got you. I'll get you connected.
Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you so much, the opportunity.
I appreciate you and everything.
Get out of here. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you for coming back. We appreciate